Hello, sewing people of the internet. A little bit different kind of video this time, and just jumping right into it. I had an opportunity to modify a kind of expensive bag, a Tumi brand Sling bag, and I just thought I would share some footage of the process and kind of let you see what's involved. A lot of people talk to me about, either questions on the channel or people who know me in person about making a modification to an existing bag, and many people may not realize just how far you have to take something apart to modify it. So on this particular project, I was sewing some loop velcro to the interior of the bag, and I completely forgot to video the actual sewing of the velcro, but it just, after I took these panels out of the bag, I sewed loop velcro to the main back panel and then to the front of the pocket that's attached to the back panel. And that was basically it. That was the whole point of this modification. The owner wants to be able to adhere things so they don't just slide to the bottom of the bag. So when it came time to sew the back panel on, I used my cylinder arm machine here. Normally I use it for binding. Here in this shot I'm attaching the binder back on so I can do the binding. But I also can use it just to sew. So I used it just to make it easier to sew the back panel on. It gives me more maneuverability of the bag. The binding is actually the original binding that I took off the bag. This material it looks like 1050D ballistic nylon. I'm not sure if it's exactly that, but it looks very similar to that. And the binding is just made from a strip of that material, so it matches perfectly. So I really wanted to reuse that binding, and it turned out it worked just fine. I did have to make a new leather patch. They cover the ends. Tumi, when they made the bag, they covered the ends of the binding with a little leather patch. That would be this patch here. I was going to try to reuse it as well, but I've had a lot of trouble trying to get it sewn on. Sometimes reusing an existing thing is just harder. And you'll see here as I started to sew that leather patch, either the foot was pushing it or the feed dogs were pushing it from the bottom. I'm not really sure, but it got pushed out of alignment and just was not going to look good at all. I gave it a second try. Thought maybe after I got one edge sewed down, I could try it again and get it to look good, but that didn't work out either. As luck would have it, I had a piece of leather that was thin enough and closely enough matched what was on there. Someone from Tumi would realize that this wasn't original, but I don't think most people would notice. And once I got it all back together, it looked just like it did when I got my hands on it, except now it's got loop Velcro on the interior. So that's it. Pretty simple project, but again, when people ask about modifying existing bags, I don't think they realize sometimes that often you have to take the whole thing apart. So there you go. Hope you found that interesting or helpful. If you have questions or comments, post them in the comments section below. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love if you would subscribe to my channel. Clicking like is always a nice thing to do. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Woohoo!